What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. In tonight's video, Thursday Night Football. We have probably the least exciting Thursday Night Football game of the season. The Falcons at the Carolina Panthers. There's going to be rain and wind involved as there's hurricanes going on in that area. So we'll see what we can get out of tonight's game. Otherwise, the program today is going to be basically any start and sit questions you guys got. Please fire them up in the chat room. Any trade concerns, anything like that, we'll answer your questions. But essentially, we're just going to kind of set the table for the weekend. We'll go over the practice reports and all of the news and major things that you guys need to know about to succeed in week 10. So let's hop into a screen share. I'll show you guys what I'm looking at throughout the whole process here. Good evening to Harris. Hope you're doing well. We got a handful of things today, nothing too concerning. It was actually probably one of the slower news weeks that I've seen so far. What's up to Aiden as well? Hope you're doing well this evening. Hopefully you guys don't need a lot of points tonight. Hopefully you guys don't have more than one or two people in tonight's game, but they're listing some inactives and whatnot for the game tonight. But otherwise, it looks like Rondale Moore practicing in full, Adam Thielen practicing in full. Russell Gage is not going to be practicing, or he's not going to be playing this weekend. Antoine Winfield cleared protocol and is traveling with the team. And then Chuba Hubbard tonight. I'm excited to kind of see what this looks like with Foreman and Hubbard. I think Foreman is the passing down back. I'm not really sure. We'll see how it goes again. It's going to be a lot of running tonight, I think. So we'll see how that goes. Aiden's asking, is Njoku playing? I don't know, man. Like right here, they have him listed as a bystander today. Let's read the report. He did not practice Thursday. It seems rather unlikely that he'll suit up on Sunday, giving back-to-back DNPs, but he can't entirely be ruled out. I thought it was interesting before the bye week, like Njoku was saying, like, yeah, I'm good. I might even be playing on that Monday Night Football game. So he's had, a good two and a half weeks of rest from this high ankle sprain. And if not this week, it's going to be next week. I think if you are waiting for Njoku, you need to have a backup plan just in case. One of my favorites this week has been Foster Moreau. He's been pretty decent, and when Waller's not there, and we just know that for the next month or so, there's going to be no Darren Waller. So if you need someone, check out Foster Moreau. Otherwise, we can pull up some other tight ends if you guys need some help there. Harris is asking Trevor Lawrence or Dak Prescott. That's a tough one. I don't like Dak's matchup this week, and just on paper, I know the Packers are struggling offensively here, but their defense is playing better than people give them credit for. They allow the second fewest fantasy points per game here at just 69 points per game, 12.49 to the quarterback position. So like that's a rough stretch. I'm assuming Dak's going to get one touchdown for sure, whether that's throwing or running, but it remains to be seen if he gets that second one. I kind of think the Packers defense might stifle them a little bit offensively. And then let's look at one of the other tools here. I mean, they have the Cowboys projected to score 24 points. So that's what, 3 touchdowns and a field goal. So maybe 2 touchdowns for Dak, 1 rushing for the running backs. Not a great line here, but I do like Trevor Lawrence. I know the Jags are expected to score only 20.5, but in terms of fantasy points allowed, I mean, you're going against the Chiefs. They allow the 3rd most fantasy points per game here. They're pretty green against quarterbacks here. They're one of they allow the 5th most points to quarterbacks here, about 20 points per game. 17 touchdowns on the year. Green Bay's only allowed 10. So I think the numbers are with Trevor Lawrence. I expect him to throw the ball a lot to keep up with the Chiefs. So I'm going to go Trevor Lawrence. And the nice thing about Lawrence, too, is lately he has been running the football. So you might be able to sneak out 2 to 4 points on the ground there. Since I traded Jeff Wilson Jr. in my 40-yard reception first down bonus, Zeke, Marshall, Warren, I'm assuming that's Toure. I like the idea of Terrace Marshall, but not tonight. Like not in a rain game where there's 20, 25 mile per hour winds. I don't think tonight's the night for Terrace Marshall. Hopefully we can get Sam Darnold or Mayfield back in next week. But you probably got to go with Ezekiel Elliott in this one. He's got the best chance to score. I think with Jalen Warren, there's been a lot of buzz that, hey, he might be, cutting into Najee's workload going forward. So I'm open to that, but I don't think we can trust him in our starting lineup straight away. So I think it's going to be Ezekiel Elliott. The Packers, in terms of fantasy points, again, they're pretty stout across the board here. But they are weak against the run. They're kind of average against the run. So they're allowing about 22.5 fantasy points per game. You split that down the middle between Zeke and Tony Pollard, you're looking at maybe 10 to 12 points for a floor. Patterson or Dameon Pierce? Whew. So Patterson tonight against Carolina Panthers. I think you probably got to go with Cordero Patterson tonight. You can see here the Panthers do allow a ton of running back points here. We didn't get to see Patterson in this game 2 weeks ago, but he is fresh. He's looking good. I'm probably going to say Cordero Patterson here, but I do like both running backs. Although Dameon Pierce's matchup against the Giants a little bit tougher on paper. They do allow a lot of yards, but I think the safe play is probably Cordero Patterson tonight in what should be a lot of running in tonight's game. Or Kieran. Kind of the same thought for Kieran that I had on Jalen Warren. Like, we can't trust Kieran Williams in his first game. He's probably going to play this week, which I think is exciting. And the tweet that I liked today, let me look and see if I can find it for you guys. The tweet that I had today was this. So let me click on it and zoom in a little bit. So Kyren Williams' workload in practices when healthy indicates that the Rams would like him to take on a prominent role when safe to do so. But I'd imagine it will take a little time. It will take a little time to get him up to playing speed. So maybe not week 10, but week 11, week 12, we might be looking at Kyren Williams as kind of a low-end RB2 flex play. So I think, again, if he's available in your leagues, he's definitely worth stashing. Don't start him this week. I'm open to him in the future. I have him stashed in a handful of leagues just because we don't know what's going to happen. So it could be kind of cool. Randy Bobandy. I'm not super excited about Randy Bobandy, Michael Bandy. I think you go with Zeke. I think Zeke's going to be fine. Juju or Jerry Jeudy, half PP. I think right now, man, Jerry Jeudy is playing really good ball, but so is Juju. I think you're going to want to go with Juju. He's had 3 straight games of probably like fringe wide receiver 1 numbers. And the Jags, they do allow wide receiver points here. I know the Broncos and the Tennessee matchup is pretty juicy as well, but I'm going to go with the Chiefs offense compared to the Broncos offense. I would say Juju's got a better odd for a touchdown than Jerry Jeudy does. Deontay or Allen Lazard. That's a tough one because the Cowboys do allow a lot of big plays, and Lazard's kind of the only game in town, so I do like that. Whereas Deontay Johnson going up against the New Orleans Saints, I know Marshawn Lattimore's not in there, no Chase Claypool anymore, so they're both kind of middle of the road options. I'm probably gonna say I'm gonna go with Lazard just because we know that when Lazard's healthy, he's been putting up numbers, and if someone's gonna catch a touchdown, it's probably Allen Lazard. He's been practicing this week. Let's look at his numbers real quick here. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight games of double digits. In the one game that he didn't, he had 9.3. Lazard's the safer play. Look at the targets, no fewer than 6 all the way since week 3. You're looking at 7 to 10 targets with maybe 4 to 6 catches and a good chance at a touchdown. So I'm going to go with Allen Lazard at home. Kieran or Herbert rest of season. Now that's a difficult one because Herbert. We know Herbert's good at football. We don't know if Kieran Williams is good at football yet. So that it takes a leap of faith to hold on to Kieran. Like, again, like it's kind of like it's like a white elephant gift. You don't know what you're going to get from Kieran Williams, but it could be nice. It could be junk as well. So I'm probably going to say Khalil Herbert's probably the guy going forward. We like what the Bears are doing offensively. They can run the football. The Rams cannot run the football. So I think, to me, it's Herbert rest of season. If anything happens to Monty, you have a potential top 10, top 15 running back. So I'm going to go with him. Pick 2, Sutton, Palmer, Pittman, Mooney. Palmer's the guy for sure, just because he's the clear wide receiver 1 for the Chargers, and they're going to have to throw the ball. The 49ers average against wide receivers, and they just lost Jason Verrett for the year. So that's unfortunate for them. But anyways, you have Sutton going up against the Titans defense. They're very bad against wide receivers. I think it's a good matchup for Sutton. I know he hasn't been trustworthy. So if you maybe are skittish on Sutton, I would say Palmer and Mooney are fine. I'm not interested in Michael Pittman, especially if Sam Ehlinger's the quarterback. I'd rather let Pittman sit on the bench and prove it to us. If it were my lineup, I'm going with Sutton and Palmer. But I get it. If you want to go Mooney over Sutton, I'm cool with that. But that's how I would do it. Good evening to Brady. Hope you're doing well, my man. Thanks for the question. Brandon Ayuk, Michael Pittman, Rondale Moore, or Deonta Foreman. Pick 2, 0.5 PPR. So with Foreman, you're basically hoping that he gets a touchdown. And he played really well against this team just a couple weeks ago. Let's actually pull up the numbers. I believe that was the game where he had 3 touchdowns. And the biggest difference is, yes, Chuba Hubbard's back. But You look at this game, 26 carries, a buck 18, and 3 touchdowns. I think the guy that's probably most likely to score out of all the players that you have listed is probably Deonta Foreman. The receivers, I mean, Rondale Moore's been playing well. Let's look at Rondale. Rondale's got a really safe floor, and my numbers are full PPR here that I'm looking at on this league. And Rondale's been nice for 2 straight games. He's got 8 targets, 10 targets. He's kind of a safe guy, but again, in a half PPR, that kind of brings him down a little bit. I think I'm going to go with Foreman because he's got the best chance to score a touchdown. I like Ayuk in this one. I think that the Chargers 49ers, that's going to be a fun game where both quarterbacks are going to have to probably throw the ball. So I'm gonna rank them Foreman, Ayuk, Rondale. And if you're nervous about Ayuk, I understand. Deebo Samuel's going to be back in this one. So if you're nervous about Ayuk, I'm totally cool with Rondale Moore. He's got a safe floor. He's been getting a lot of nice targets. But, I mean, our guy Brandon Ayuk has been playing really good ball the last few games. And if you look at his floor, he's got a 7 to 8 point floor. I mean, at worst, he's going to get 4 targets, 3-4 catches. So I do think Ayuk does have a safe floor as well. But I'm going to rank them again. Foreman, Ayuk, Rondale, Pittman. Pittman's just it's too scary with Sam Ehlinger there. Juju or Lazard, half PPR. I'm probably going to – that one's tough. That one's really tough. I'm going to go with Lazard because he is the clear number 1 target with Kansas City. We know it's Kelsey. I would say the odds to score for Lazard are better. It's close. They're both good options, Harris, so I don't think you can lose. But I'm going to go with Lazard over Juju. Update on your decision of Pitts or Njoku. I mean, I don't love Kyle Pitts tonight. It's going to be tough sledding for all receiving options tonight in this game. If you look at what Pitts has been doing, I mean, if you're comfortable taking, like, the frustrating part is, like, he had the 7 targets last week. 2 for 27, though, is just not going to cut it. 9 targets the week before, that's nice. 5 targets the week before is nice. 3 the week before, that's not so nice. So the range of outcomes here are not great. I think at this point, I mean, if you can wait on Njoku, I'm cool with playing Njoku. And if you needed to add a tight end like Foster Moreau, if you have the room, if you have the room to add a tight end, if Njoku can't go, I think I'm going to wait for Njoku. Lazard or Josh Palmer, half PPR. That one's closer. I'm still going to go with Lazard, though. I like Lazard in this one. Again, touchdowns are at home. I do like Josh Palmer in this one, but I'm going to go with Lazard. He's got the better odds for a touchdown. Bill, thanks for hanging out. Ayuk, Thielen, Dillon, Gibson. PPR, pick one, please. I'm probably going to go with Antonio Gibson. The reason I'm taking Gibson is I don't think J.D. McKissic's going to go. Again, he didn't practice today. It's Monday Night Football. You're probably going to see Gibson get a lot of dump-offs in the passing game. I know he didn't play well last week, but he's been kind of the last 3 or so games, he's been looking like the best running back. He's had touchdowns against Green Bay and Indy. He didn't score last week, but I'm fine with this floor usage here. I think Gibson's probably your best bet in a game where they're going to have to play keep up with Philadelphia. Lazard or Mooney, half PPR. I'm going Lazard. Outlook on DeAndre Swift this week. Well, I don't think it'll be as bad as last week. I mean, last week, this 8 points, like that was, you know, he only played like 12 or 13 snaps. He still got 2 carries for 10 yards, so you'll take the point there. But the 3 for 40 as a receiver, I think he's going to continue to get that workload. So if you just look at the receiving numbers here and you're fine with that, I mean, expect, 7 to 10 points as a floor. If he gets a touchdown, that's where he can be of value to us. But he's kind of a low-end RB2 flex play. They're playing the Bears, who do allow fantasy points to the running back. And hopefully he can hop Justin Jackson for playing time this week. So the Bears, it's a good matchup. They allow 12 touchdowns on the year so far. So I'm optimistic DeAndre Swift outscores his points from last week. Waller and CH for Sutton and Higbee, who wins? I mean, well, Waller is like on IR for 4 games. So by default, Higbee wins the upgrade at tight end. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, just not excited about that Chiefs backfield. So I think it's a slight edge to the Sutton-Higbee side. No problem. Thank you for asking your question. I appreciate the questions. Olave or Rondale Moore? This one, it's Olave. It's not close to me. It's Olave. And if you have Olave, we're really hoping that our guy, what's his name, Jameis Winston can get in at some point. Lawrence or Cousins. I'm going to go with Trevor Lawrence in this one. Vikings are on the road in Buffalo. Buffalo's a good defense. The weather might be cold. I'll go with Trevor Lawrence against the Chiefs. Lazard, that one's not close. That's Lazard. I do like Chase Claypool, but keep in mind, like it's not a high volume passing offense for the Chicago Bears. Like Darnell Mooney has barely been usable this year, and now he's going to be competing with him for targets. So that's kind of where we're at. I mean, he did get 6 targets last week, which is nice, and a carry. So they're trying to get him the ball, but I think at this point, man, like Lazard he's proven the last like 6 or 7 games that he deserves to be in our lineups. Is Amari Cooper buy low with Watson coming back soon? Hell yeah. Yeah, go get Amari Cooper if you can. And I've actually seen Amari Cooper traded in a couple of my leagues lately. And I mean, Cooper, as it stands right now, what is he? Wide receiver 10? Where is he? Wide receiver 12 on the season right now. Now, the thing about Cooper has been his home away splits. He's had 2 really bad games, both on the road. He had a decent game on the road here against the Ravens. So he's going to have a lot of road games coming up here, 4 to the next 5. So it might be volatile. But again, you get Deshaun Watson starting against Houston, Cincinnati, Baltimore, the Saints, the Washington Commanders. Like it's a good matchup schedule for Cooper down the stretch here for the fantasy playoffs. Yes, Giants defense are a good start. One of the best tools that I like to use for looking at streaming defenses, and again, I have this on the, if you just go to the homepage on the theFellowKGB.com, I always post it here, but it's the spread charts. The way to read this is the team totals are highlighted. So the Chiefs expected to score 30 points. Down here are your red scores. The Texans only projected to score 16.75 points. You want to start the Giants. You want to start the Eagles. You want to start the Titans, the Raiders, the Cowboys, the Saints, and so on. I'm open to starting Foreman tonight. I do think if the Panthers score a touchdown, it's going to be Foreman. And I don't expect him to get 3 touchdowns. I don't expect him to get the 26 carries that he got last time. But I do think you're starting volume with Foreman. You're getting, 15 to 20 touches, and you're getting probably a pretty good odd at a touchdown. So unless you have a super stud behind him, I think you're probably going to roll with Foreman tonight. And maybe they ease Chuba Hubbard back into the lineup this week. We'll see. How much should I give up to the 11 team in a 12-man for Jamar Chase? Well, the price for Jamar Chase, I mean, when he's healthy, he's a top 5 wide receiver. So that's kind of the price to pay right now. Now, he might not be back week 11. Maybe week 12 to 13 is the better target. So you're buying a wide receiver 1 on a little bit of a depressed value. So like if you're trying to send a receiver for him, whether that's Kirk or Evans or like I would try to send one of these low end wide receiver 1s right now. Even I would cash in Lamb, maybe Olave, maybe Pittman. Like if you can cash in a kind of a low end wide receiver 1 receiver, I'm open to do that. And if you need to do a 2-for-1, I mean, say you're selling him Brandon Ayuk and another running back. I think a 2-for-1 for Jamar Chase, especially if you, the way to view this is I would send 2 players to get Jamar Chase, 1 guy on your bench, and then you would upgrade that receiver position in your starting lineup when Chase returns. The Joker, full PPR, pick 2, Jamal, Jeff, Montgomery, Khalil, Deonta. Whew, you got a lot of running backs. I'm not looking at Khalil Herbert here. I do like Deonta Foreman, but again, it's the Panthers offense. I think your best play is probably David Montgomery against the Lions. I mean, the Lions allow the third, where are they? They allow they rank 24th in points allowed to the running back. So that's a nice bright spot for them. They've allowed 11 touchdowns on the ground this year. Go with Montgomery. And then the number 2 option, I think it's Jamal Williams. I mean, Jamal Williams has a pretty safe floor. He finds the end zone. The Bears and the Lions, that game should be high scoring. I like both running backs there. So I'm going to sit Deonta Foreman tonight, go with Montgomery, Jamal Williams. To be honest, your third best running back is probably Jeff Wilson. Right here, the Browns allow a lot of running back points. So I think I'm going to rank them as Montgomery, Jamal, Jeff, Foreman, Herbert. Khalil, Herbert, or Gibson over Foreman then. In this situation, I'm probably going to go with Foreman. I'm not looking. I don't think you can responsibly start Khalil Herbert this week. It is a really good matchup, but I'm probably ranking Herbert third here in this list. I would rank them Foreman, Gibson, Herbert. Again, if the Panthers score a touchdown tonight, it's probably going to be Deonta Foreman. They're going to ease Chuba Hubbard back in, but I still think Foreman's going to get his 15 to 20 touches. Again, it's a windy, rainy game. It's you got to be patient. You know, if he's only got 4 carries for 12 yards in the first quarter, just give it time. He'll bust one. He should be a decent trade. He just should be a decent play by volume by the end of the night. Was this a good trade? Pittman and Kelsey for Kittle, Boyd, and Metcalf. So obviously you're giving up the best asset here in Kelsey. But the Pittman hasn't been great with Ellinger. I do think Matt Ryan's coming back, though, so Pittman might come back around. But I like the 3 for 2 here. You're getting Metcalf, who's the best receiver in this deal. It's a slight downgrade to Kittle. But overall, I mean, if you needed the depth at receiver, I think I like this deal. It's never easy to send Travis Kelce unless you're acquiring Kelce, then it's fun. But I kind of like getting the depth here. Kittle, Boyd, and Metcalf, like all those guys are starters right now. And no problem, my man. Thanks for the question. This guy declined Pittman and Foreman for Chase. It's close. I would say ask him. You know, when you're having trade talks, I get a lot of trade questions, and they're difficult to answer. You really need to be like, hey, I want to buy Jamar Chase. What players do you like? You know, you have to be very open with them and say, hey, I'm willing to do a 2 for 1. You can have this guy and then pick one of these guys. Essentially, you basically just put it on a platter for him and say, pick what you want for Jamar Chase. If his season's not going anywhere, he needs the 2 players to make his roster better. Let me hit refresh here on some of the player inactives. Evan Ingram practicing today. Looks like he's on track. Matthew Stafford not practicing today with the concussion protocol. He didn't practice yesterday or today. I don't think he's going to play. You're probably going to see John Wolford here starting this game, which is going to be a downgrade. Like, you can't start Higbee, you can't start Allen Robinson, you can't start Darrell Williams. It's basically Cooper Kupp, and that's it at this point. The Chargers will be without Keenan Allen and Mike Williams very likely here. No J.D. McKissick. Looks like the Cowboys are finally healthy. Ryan Tannehill practicing in full today. Dameon Pierce limited. What was that answer to the last question? I asked because my internet went down. Let me see here. That last question by Harris. If it was the Lazard or Mooney half PPR, I'm going with Lazard. And then the Trevor Lawrence or Cousins question, I'm going to go with Trevor Lawrence. He gets points on the ground with his legs. And by matchup here, the Chiefs do allow the 5th most fantasy points to the wide receiver position. Buffalo's tough, man. The Buffalo Bills, man, I don't really want to mess with it. I like Kirk Cousins, but I'm going to go with Trevor Lawrence. I know he's been kind of up and down this year, but I think you go with the numbers will be good by the end of the day. And thank you, my man. Glad you're here with us tonight. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you guys are new. It helps the channel grow. We're headed to 600 subscribers next, so I'd love to hit that milestone soon. But keep coming back with your questions. We do this live every Thursday night. I do 2 live streams. Wednesday night, we go live at about 7 p.m. Central Time, and then on Thursday nights, we go live at 6:30 p.m. Central Time here, and you guys can get all your questions answered. For the upcoming weekend, I might do a live show on Saturday night, to be determined. I'm going to be out of town, headed to Green Bay for the Packer game. We'll see what happens in that game. But anyways, let me just kind of finish up with some of the player news here, and then I'm going to get out of here before the Thursday night football game. And hopefully you guys get what you need tonight. But yeah, the weather has me concerned. I'm not super excited about it. Jonathan Taylor, full practice. Looks like he's good to go. Not sure what's up with Derrick Henry. He didn't practice today. I think he's going to be fine, though. They're probably just being quiet with him. The Raiders, interesting day for the Raiders, putting Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller on IR. They also had a player retire today. Weird stuff. What do I do if someone is only willing to trade away Higgins for Chase in Dynasty? I mean, most people are going to want Jamar Chase. Like, that's if it takes Higgins to get Jamar Chase, it is an upgrade at the end of the day. I mean, I love T. Higgins. He's one of my favorite players in the game. But if you have to deal Higgins, I'm fine with it. And it's not always the best thing to be super invested, with two receivers in an offense. I do like that offense a lot for the long term, but if it takes Higgins to get Chase, I'm okay with it, I suppose. But that's looking like most of the news and everything that we've got in here. You have to deal Chase. Oh, okay. Sending Chase for Higgins, it depends on what you're getting back. I mean, it shouldn't be straight up. Like Chase does not equal Higgins. You need to get at least, if I'm trading away Jamar Chase, the minimum is I want at least if you're just talking draft picks, he's worth, 2 first-round picks. So, I mean, I could argue that you should be getting Higgins plus a first, or at least Higgins plus a second rounder for this deal to go through. And that's kind of where I'm at with that. But yeah, I mean, if you go to, I'm going to look up Dynasty Trade. One of my favorite tools here is, I can't spell calculator, later. Dynasty Trade Calculator. The Fantasy Pros has a good one. Dynasty Trade, let me type in Dynasty Trade Charts. Fantasy Pros has a good one here. If it's super flex or 1 QB, that could be what it is. But essentially, we're going to scroll on down here to wide receiver. They have Jamar Chase here as the second best receiver available. They have him as a 72 value here. They have Higgins at 60. So 12 different points there. Essentially, those 12 points, they should get you probably a second round draft pick plus Higgins. So that's probably where we're at. But yeah, that's all the news I have for you guys today. Again, if you guys have any questions, you can always follow me on Twitter. You can either tweet at me or DM me with whatever you need. I'm always pretty responsive on the Twitter machine. Otherwise, check us out on TikTok as well. Good luck to you guys tonight. I hope you get all your points that you need, and we'll see you in a future video. Have a good one. Peace.